lot, everyone, for joining us today in this masterclass session. Today, we have some amazing speakers with us for this masterclass. We have Rahul Jain. He is Associate Director of Product Management at Wingify. He brings in 8+ years of experience in building and scaling SaaS products for global markets.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Rahul. Just a quick introduction. So I've been fortunate to be in the tech world for last 9 odd years. Had a very, very interesting journey, worked with B2C companies. And for the last about 6.5 years, I've been associated with a B2B SaaS company. And boy, this has been a wonderful experience for me. So when I started with Wingify, which is known for its flagship SaaS product called VW, an A/B testing product. I did not know anything about software world. I did not know anything about B2B world. All I knew was funding. All I knew was acquiring customers and running B2C business. But it has been an incredible ride for me. And over the years, I've built multiple products, 0 to 1, scaled them, and finally ended up leading the product team there. And last year, around somewhere around in March, I decided it's time to just give back and share my learnings with all of the aspiring product managers. And that's when I got associated with Pragmatic Leaders. And I think they're doing a wonderful job at helping so many of us learn a lot of things and transition into a product role. So been a wonderful journey. And I hope this session is useful for you. A lot of great talks. Last session was amazing. And let me quickly share my screen. The topic that I'm going to talk about is how to think about customer journey. And if you notice that I've highlighted customer here. So I think, whenever you talk about customer journey, the most important thing is customers, right? And so, just read this slide and, take a moment to sink this information in, right? I know, this might sound odd to a lot of you, but just read it with me. Like, it says that thinking from, customer perspective does not mean that you're building a product for yourself, right? I mean, we all of us, all the time hear that, we should step into customer shoes and then think about building a product. But, there's a thin line between, stepping into customer shoes and, being a customer yourself, right? I made this mistake. Whenever I used to build products, I used to think that, hey, whether I like this product or not, whether I am a right user for this product or not. But hey, you're probably not the right user for your own product, or you probably be just one of the right users for your product, and you might have different sort of users for your products. So I think, when you talk about the term personas, I think personas is all about, finding out, who are the right customers for your product and building a product that solves a problem for them and not for yourself. So, this is probably the most important information that I can give you today. And trust me, all of us go through this journey where, in spite of us learning so much about personas, learning so much about customer journey, we all end up, having a lot of biases, in terms of building a product that suits our needs and not our customer needs, right? So very important step whenever you're thinking about customer journey, keep yourself on the side, be unbiased, and think very broadly as to who's the right customer for your product. Now, when you think about customer journey, when you try to identify your right customers, I think the most important thing is first understanding who they are, right? And now, in terms of understanding who they are, you can think about let's say it's a 30-year-old individual who's an office going person. And what are their main goals, right? What are they trying to achieve? What is the core job for which they are hiring your product, right? And then what are the sort of main barriers of achieving those goals, right? So these are the most important or critical steps in really understanding who you're building it for, what are their goals, and then what are the barriers for them to achieving that goals. And that is where you want to hit. And that is where you want to really build a product that solves their problem, that helps them achieve their goals. Now, a very interesting way of thinking about customer journey is, understanding customer journey map. And now I'm sure, you all have heard about this term, you all have, read about it. But, it's not just something that happens in theory, right? So all of us being product managers, we do it on a day-to-day basis. And the easiest way to do that is, once you sort of, first step would be to really understand what are the different sort of behavioral stages, of your right persona. And then, aligning the customer goals for each stage. And then, sort of plotting like a touch point, like, what are the different touch points with which your customer interacts with your product or interacts with your business, right? And then for every one of the touch points, you identify the pain points and then finally come up with a solution. Now, if you look at the entire process, right, the solution is the last part, right? So again, we as product managers or as general individuals, right, we're always biased towards, thinking about jumping to solutions or thinking about problems that align with us, goals that, we feel are important, but that's not true, right? You only spend like about, 20 or 30% of your time on working on solutions. The rest of the time goes into identifying what is the journey of different personas that you have. What are the different stages in which they interact with your product, and at every stage identifying those particular pain points. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share like an actual example of how I did it once. I'm going to share like an Excel with you, and just to show you guys that this is not just theoretical. It really works for you as a product manager. Just give me a second. Okay, so I hope you guys can see the Excel sheet that I'm sharing right now. And so let's take a hypothetical example, right, for a software product. And I've taken a hypothetical persona. Let's call him John Doe, whose title is a chief marketing officer who works for a company called abc.com. And he is a decision maker. He works for a small company with 100 employees, and he's leading a team of about 15 people. And when you talk about his background, it's very, very important part, right? So he was previously working with a mid-sized e-commerce company where he was heading the SEO division for marketing. He's now joined abc.com, which is also an e-commerce company who has been recently funded, and he's looking to expand. Now, if we talk about his challenges, now John needs to scale the marketing team and tech stack. He wants to adopt all modern marketing technologies and strategies. He's looking for a solution to help him in digital marketing, specifically on the personalization side, but he has limited knowledge. Now, these little tips and bits are very, very critical. And trust me, this is what decides, what product you're going to build. And this will really help you identify the customer journey as well. And I'm giving you an actual example of me working on a product, and we are trying to identify the right personas for our A/B testing product, and then sort of understanding what are the different pain points and different goals that we can help them with. So if you look at this customer journey map, there are different stages on the top. One is the awareness stage, second is consideration, third is decision stage, and fourth is retention. Now, typically, if you take any example, right, be it, let's say an e-commerce example or software example, a typical customer would go through different stages. First is awareness, right? This is where, typically a customer would start doing some research, trying to understand, let's say if you want to buy a product, they would start to search for that product. They would start to read reviews. They would start to understand, like, hey, what is the best product for us? Once they've done that, the second stage is consideration. Now they have like, 10 options, and then they want to decide, which option is best for me. The third sort of stage is the decision-making stage. Now they've done the analysis. They know that, hey, out of the 10 sort of solutions that are available to me, this one is probably the best for me. And finally, once they buy your product, the last stage is the retention stage. This is where, you want to retain the customer. This is where they'll try to find if they got the right ROI. So for example, if I'm buying a product from Amazon, right, I would look at a lot of things. I would look at their service. I would look at their delivery times. And if I'm happy, I'll probably buy the product again, right? And that is a similar case with any product out there, right? So these are the important sort of stages. And then you see that, there are sort of, a customer is just a visitor to you because, they're just searching and they're trying to do some research. Once they have considered your product as one of the options, they become a lead for you. And then finally, when they've made a decision, and then when you want to retain them, that's when they become a customer. Now, if you look at the first column here, we've mentioned that, what are the different user goals at every stage? What are the touch points? What are the pain points? And what are the ideas, right? So, this is how simple it is, but, it's super effective. And this actually, helps you do a very, very detailed understanding of the customer journey. You don't have your biases, every single touch point. You're trying to identify pain points. So your solution will always become very, very detailed, right? So let's say, John, who's our persona, which we considered at the awareness stage, John is just trying to educate himself to learn more about personalization, how companies adopt personalization strategies. He's not looking for a vendor at this stage, right? And probably what he'll do is he'll read blogs, he'll read case studies, and these are your touch points. And during this sort of journey, or during this stage of the customer journey, his pain points are finding the right content to learn about the space and finding success stories from peer companies, right? Now, in the next stage, at this point, John understands how he can scale personalization strategies and is now ready to understand more about the tools that can sort of help him, scale the solution. Now, this is where, he would start looking at your website. He would start looking at the product pages. He would start reading about the reviews of your product. And at this stage, his pain point is that, hey, I have too many options of vendors to choose from. What is the best what is the best way of finding the best fit for my business, right? What is the right fit for my business? Now, at the decision-making stage, at this point, John has evaluated multiple vendors and shortlisted the final solution. He now wants to take a call and see, which tool is sort of best for this team. Now, what he would do is he'll probably take a free trial of the product. He would go through pricing page. He would talk to sales, right? At this point in time, he's thinking about budgets. He's thinking about the evaluation process. And finally, when he becomes your customer and he's using your product, that is where, he wants to make sure that he's getting the right ROI from the product, right? Which is where, he would look at ROI reports. He would, talk to your support teams, right? And at this stage, his pain point is that, is my team making the most out of the solution? Are we getting the right ROI from the product? So once you look at the entire thing, that's when you sort of understand, hey, now I know the end-to-end journey of this persona. I know that what are the different touch points. I know his pain points. And now using all that information, I'll build a relevant sort of solution, right? Now, if I was not doing any of this, right, I'll probably miss out on any one of the stages, or I'll probably not sort of, understand that what are the pain points from a previous stage. Right? So which is why, it's very, very important to sort of, map out your entire customer journey, understand the goals at every stage, and then work through a solution. Right? And this journey can be completely different for different personas. If, for instance, my persona was not a CMO who's a decision maker, or my persona was, let's say, a digital marketer, right, who's probably a user, but he's not a decision maker, right? Then this map would look completely different, right? So, again, give you an example, right? So typically, like for the product that I worked on, our core personas were marketers and product managers, because these were the people who were doing A/B testing. But suddenly, we built a product which was around server-side A/B testing. And then our personas entirely shifted to developers, right? And now when you talk about developers, none of this is true, right? Our entire customer journey changes. They don't care about having like a fancy product that has a wonderful UX, right? Product managers might care for that. But developers, what do they care about? They care about APIs. They care about the flexibility of your product to sort of integrate with their ecosystem, right? So that completely changes. So which is why identifying the right users, and then, for every set of personas that you have, finding the job for which they're hiring you, drawing out this customer journey, that is how you go about, thinking of customer journey, and not doing something in isolation. And especially, just want to reiterate before I end this session that you are not your own customer, right? You might be one of the customers, but don't bias yourself. You might draw all of these things. You might, even, map out your personas. But at the end, our biases force us to sort of, build a solution that is solving our own problems and not the customer's problem, right? So this is my biggest takeaway, and this has been my biggest learning. When I started out as a product manager, I was doing all of these things, right? I have learned everything from books, right? But at the end, my biases really pushed me to build a product that was to my own sort of because I, for example, me as a user, I felt that UX has to be amazing, right? It has to be super friendly. But very late in the stage that I realized that probably for certain set of users, UX is not that important, and probably making a more flexible product is more important, right? So yeah, I mean, this was like a quick session from me. I know there's a lot of things around personas, around customer journey. Happy to have any questions. You can reach out to me offline as well. But yeah, a small session, a quick takeaway from me. Don't bias yourself. That's it. Thank you.